Hey, welcome to my channel. I thought today I would talk a little bit about the projects that kind of live just rent free in my mind, even though I will never ever make them. They're kind of like my white whales or my Roman Empire, in that I think about them way more than you would expect for projects that I know I will never make. But I just love them. I've had some of these on my would love to make but won't list for probably about 10 years, and I would say I think about them on average once a month, but some of them a bit more. So this is going to be a mixture of knitting and crochet, and I'm going to start off with knitting because color work is a big block for me. Like, I used to have a lot more cable ones on this list where I just thought about them all the time, but then I learned how to make cables, and now I'm a lot more confident. Some might say slightly misplaced confidence, but it's, there's not as many cables, but color work is still very intimidating to me. The most color work I've ever done was like 3 colors, and I ended up cutting it back to 2 because I got a bit overwhelmed. But yeah, so the first one on my list, Henri in Pennsylvania. I don't know the designer names for any of these, but I'll put it up. So this is stunning. I love the way that the leaves look like the Matisse leaves, like the paper cutouts. And I love the kind of primary colors against the dark background. I love the kind of like late 80s to early 90s vibe. That'll be a bit of a theme with all of this. It's so great. And I kind of always had it in the back of my mind of maybe one day I would attempt it. And then I realized that it's also got that diamond pattern in the background, which is kind of like, I think it's like black on brown or brown on black. And I realized that's actually one of the things I really love about this is the depth of the background. And I just think that like the diamonds with the leaves on top, like this is so far beyond my comfort zone. Also, I think the pattern might be quite difficult to get hold of, and definitely finding out-of-date patterns is not a passion of mine and is a reason that some of these stay on the white whale list rather than on the maybe one day list. But yeah, stunning jumper, love it. And the next one, love this name, The Foolish Virgins. And this one I do know the designer, it's Fassett. Once again, we have the late 80s, early 90s vibe. And I grew up like with my mom filling the house with Fassett books and making all these amazing creations. She's a much better knitter than me. She never made the Foolish Virgins, but she did make it a lot of the vests and stuff. And I love it. And I saw it originally as a cushion. Like someone had started and then realized it was just too much to turn into a jumper, so they turned it into a cushion, which I do love. Once again, I think it's the combination of the skill level needed to accomplish this, the lack of skills on my part, and the time. And I think, weirdly, I want to do this and the Henri in Pennsylvania jumper as much for the process of knitting them as I do to own them. But I know that the process of knitting them would be really stressful. They do both. I feel like both of them I could forgive myself if I made a few mistakes in them, but I just think it would just be like, I could see myself taking 3 or 4 years to make these and never really actually finishing them and kind of giving up. So those are 2 of my color work ones. Then we get to a cable one, and this is called the Geyser, and I just love this. It's not often you'll catch me saying cables are beautiful. Like, I often see colorwork stuff which I think is beautiful, but cables I tend to, I might say it's really pleasing to look at or really skilled, but they're not something that I think of as being beautiful. But this is stunning. Like the way it gets smaller and then bigger as you go away from the neckline. There's just something about the repetition. It kind of almost reminds me of like an Escher drawing or something. But yeah, I'm just really mesmerized by it. And this is one which I am definitely not skilled enough to do right now because it's knit in the round, and I know I could probably turn it flat, but I'm definitely not experienced enough for that. And this is one where, unlike the Henri in Pennsylvania and the Foolish Virgins, if I made one single mistake, I think I would just be so incredibly frustrated. I think I would have to get really expensive wool to do this properly. I would have to learn to properly knit in the round, which I don't want to do. And it's the kind of thing that I would just, even one mistake, I think would ruin it slightly for me. But I love it. And I look at it so regularly, and I just think it's gorgeous. I'm going to do some crochet, but I've got some more knitting patterns in a bit. The first one is based on this Jimmel Fix-It tapestry, which is based on the Bordeaux tapestry. And I think it's called like Kicking Out Time. I just love this. It's just so many kind of like these little details of like UK nightlife that is just so familiar to me. And like, I know I don't look like someone who, like, I'm not dressed like someone who would have gone out like clubbing a lot or anything, but I did. And it was a big, big part of my social life for such a long time. And there are just so many elements of this. Like, I'm like going to show some details here, but it just makes me laugh and I just enjoy it. I had it on a mug, but I broke the mug because I'm really annoying. I would love to make this as a crochet tapestry. And I did put it into Stitch Fiddle and had a go. And I am just like not at that skill level to be able to do this. And it's such a commitment as well that I was like, maybe I can fudge it as I go along. But it's another one that I'm like, I don't want to invest loads of time and then find out I've done it wrong. And I never ever pay for graphs. It's like, I'll just do it myself. It's always my attitude, except for this one, which I cannot do myself. So if someone else is out there and wants to do it, please do. Another crochet pattern that does exist and that I catch myself looking at really, really regularly, baby Henri's designer heirloom. And I've just realized like 2 of these patterns are called Henri. But there's, oh my gosh, this is just stunning. I love the color choices. These aren't colors I would normally go for, but I love it. I love it. It's kind of like a spider's web, but also kind of like a dandelion. And it's just so beautiful. And I tried to do a really mini version of this to be like, could I ever go? No, I'm not skilled enough. Absolutely knackered my wrists. Like I feel like this would be the last project you ever crocheted. I feel like anyone who's got a good enough grip on the hook that you don't destroy your wrists, like good luck, you should make this immediately. But I could not. I also don't have the consistency. And I feel like it's one of those projects that you need to just start and only work on that and work on it pretty much non-stop to be able to maintain the tension and the stitch pattern and everything. And I definitely can't do that. But stunning design. Love this so much. Okay, so now we come to the slightly shameful category of patterns that I think about all the time that take up a lot of space in my head, and yet I can't be bothered to work out how to make them, which is really annoying of me. First of all, we have 2 patterns which are from the same issue of Vogue Knitting Fall Winter 1985, and they are both by Perry Ellis. This I do remember. And we have Greyhound Pictorial Pullover, which I just love. Like, look at these guys. I love a big, ambitious colorwork piece, even though I literally never make them myself. I love dogs. I love greyhounds. I love a white dog in particular. And I love the way they're just gambling over this. And it kind of reminds me of like a medieval kind of artwork. It's slightly Bordeaux tapestry even. I just think it's great. And from the same, no, it was the summer spring edition for this one. In the summer spring edition, Perry Ellis also had a pattern called Queen of Hearts. And apparently it's knit from like bottom up over and then finishes at the bottom of the back. So it's very much like a playing card kind of costume you put on. And I'm just like, I love white and black and red, like any combination, but ideally with white as the predominant color. And I do feel like I could do this, and I feel like I could make mistakes, and I would still be okay with it because it's quite kind of, it's not a super precise rendering. But both of these by Vogue Knitting, when on the archive of Vogue Knitting magazines, when they stopped selling back issues, it's something like 1989. And it's so annoying because I would just pay so much money for 1985, like the spring and summer and the fall and winter. Like, I just love these. So both editions, you can have a look on Ravelry, are full of amazing patterns. I love these so much. If I had a copy of it, I would be abandoning my current whip immediately and just casting on both of these at once. Like, I love them so much. I think they're stunning. A lot of these I've been like, I don't have the skill. I would learn the skill to make these, but I just can't be bothered to find these issues. I found a version online that was 68 quid, and I found a version that was much cheaper, but it was on Amazon, and I haven't shopped on Amazon in 10 years, and I'm not going to start now. It's this thing where that should be fine. People can have their principles. I just don't want to buy it off Amazon. But at the same time, I'm so annoying because I just think about these all the time, and every time I see them in my favorites, and I should just take them out of my favorites actually, because it's actually pissing me off how much I want to make these and how much I refuse to source the patterns for them. Every now and then I will have a Google and I'll look around and just see, and every time I'm in a charity shop or a secondhand shop, I'm looking up extra copies. And I did actually write to Vogue Knitting and ask if they were going to kind of make more of the older patterns available, and I had nothing back. Those are my kind of patterns that I think about a lot. And then I have one more which I didn't even realize was the white whale, and then as I was going through my favorites and working out, okay, which ones am I why have I even got this favorited, I'm never going to make this, I just torture myself with it. As I was going through the patterns, I found one more that I looked at and I was like, this is such a white whale, and it's this Patons jumper of Gromit knitting, Gromit from Wallace and Gromit. knitting a little rainbow flag. I remember first liking this and kind of like saving it. I swear, I think I was about 19, and that's a very long time ago now. And I have just decades now always had it in mind that I would make this, but you know what? I never have. And you know why? Cannot be bothered to source it. And I would have saved myself so much mental energy over the years if I had just spent like an hour just like searching for this pattern, just paid whatever I need to pay for it, get this pattern, because I love Gromit and I love Gromit knitting. And the knit and the gif of him knitting angrily, I use it to introduce myself in every presentation. I should make this jumper. I should own this jumper, and I do not, and I will not, because I cannot be bothered, and it really annoys me about myself. So those are my white whales, my Roman empires, my patterns that I just torture myself with and that I should just try and forget even existed, because I will never ever either have the motivation or the skill level to attempt them. But I just love them. I just love them. And I would love to have the ability to do them one day. So yeah, that's it from me. Like, subscribe, do whatever you want. Bye.